Ever wonder what you would do if the hydraulic pump motor, which is this long black piece I've got my finger on, if the hydraulic pump motor fails internally and you can't spin it, it's all bound up, the bearings are bad and everything, and you're out someplace, how would you operate your hydraulic system to be able to raise or lower your lever legs, landing gear legs, and your hydraulic slides? Well, if I found myself in that predicament where this motor had failed internally and I was not able to use the cordless drill and come through on the back side and put a 1/4 inch bit in here and turn it if the bearings were seized up, I'd remove this whole pump motor and get it out of my way so that I have access to the actual pump shaft itself. And so if I was in that predicament, the first thing I would do is I would remove my 12-volt DC power, I'd disconnect the batteries, and I would turn my converter off so I had no shore power, 12 volts DC going to anything that operates off 12 volts DC. The next thing that I would do is on the dual polarity solenoid that I've got my finger pointing to, up on the top there are 3 terminals. The one on the left and the right, those run to the pump motor itself. The one in the middle that my finger's pointing at, this comes from the 80 amp circuit breaker, resettable circuit breaker that feeds power to this dual polarity solenoid. I'd remove this nut and get that cable out of the way. The second thing that I would do is on the dual polarity solenoid, you've got 2 sets of leads. One's extend and one is retract. I would take a picture of that, or I would write down the colors of the spades that are on the terminal so that I knew where to reconnect them at a later date. And I would remove those 2 wires and get them out of my way. So now I have this main battery feed wire disconnected, it's out of my way, and I have these 2 source wires for extend or retract operating the solenoid out of the way. And so with those wires disconnected and out of the way, now all I need to do is on the back side of this pump motor, there are 2 bolts. I'm pointing to the one on the bottom and the one on the top right here with my finger. And I'll zoom in just a little bit, hopefully, so you can see those. There's that one. And then right down there is the other one. And what I would do is I would remove those 2 bolts and take my hand and support this, and then just back this pump motor and solenoid completely out of the way. You've already disconnected these 2 leads and you've disconnected the incoming source. You may also have to disconnect this white heavy cable. This is your ground to get it out of the way. Now you can remove this pump motor and the dual polarity solenoid and put it on the ground. It's completely out of your way. Once that's done, you're now looking at the exposed end of the actual hydraulic pump itself, and that on mine, that's this silver piece right here. It's bolted to the reservoir, and I'll have a couple of still shots that will show you there's a slotted shaft that goes inside, and that's what this pump motor turns. There's a coupler that comes from the pump motor to the actual hydraulic pump. This is the actual hydraulic pump itself. And so all I've done is I've gotten the hydraulic pump motor and solenoid out of my way, so I've got a little bit of room in here, and now I can come through this access hole that's right back here, and you'd access this through your basement area depending on your model of Alpine. On mine, I just open up the exterior cargo door right there, and on the inside, if I remove this plug and there's a cap on the out, I just push this out of the way, and then I'll be looking at the pump motor itself, which of course is now removed. These are the 2 caps I removed just so you could actually see. And now you can see there's a hole through there, and I'm looking at the end of the hydraulic pump motor, and right through the end of this is where I would stick my 1/4 inch Allen to drive this pump motor. But I've removed the entire pump motor because it was seized, and so now I have access to the actual hydraulic pump and the shaft that turns this pump, what I can do is use a large common screwdriver bit and come through this hole right here with that and a cordless drill, and I will be able to operate this hydraulic pump, either turning it clockwise or counterclockwise, depending on whether I want to extend or retract my slides or my leveling legs and landing gear. So you're probably wondering, okay, I've got the pump motors removed, but I can't get a drill in here to use, so how am I going to be able to turn this actual hydraulic pump itself with the drill? And the answer to that is, and I'll show you here, this is my handy dandy general purpose toolkit that I carry with the Alpine, along with a bunch of other stuff that I have in the truck. And I also carry an extra box of bits that you can see. There's a good assortment. And I also carry a set of ball driver heads like this. And this 1/4 inch one is the one that I would normally put on the end of my drill if I was going to operate the pump through the hole, if the pump was if I had an electrical issue but the pump motor wasn't seized up. But back to the question, so how am I going to turn that hydraulic pump with my drill when I can't get my drill in there? Well, what I carry is a couple of 1/4 inch extensions like you see right here. And on the end of it, I have a 1/4 inch 6-point socket. That 1/4 inch 6-point socket will accept any of these bits that I might want to put on. And so in this case, I want to turn that hydraulic pump. It's a slotted shaft. Yeah, I have to pause and think for a second. Sometimes this old man getting up in years now. But anyways, this is a large slotted shaft or bit, and it'll fit in that slotted shaft that I showed you a picture of on the video on the pump motor itself. And so now I'm going to give you a visual representation. At the back end, this is the wall that I have to go through the hole into the cargo bay to be able to access the back end of this hydraulic pump right here. And you can see that the extensions I have in my hand, trying to balance it in my left hand, you can see that the extension goes way past where the silver portion of this hydraulic pump is by about a good 3 inches. So that means that this end is going to stick out the hole into this bulkhead back here. And again, we'll pull the cover off so you can see that's where this extension is going to stick through. Now what the heck, let's make it real. So I've removed the plugs. I've stuck the extension through from the cargo area, and you can see now that it extends all the way here. So you can see that I've got plenty of room when I put the bit in place there to be able to put it up in place with this pump motor removed so that I can turn the slotted shaft on the hydraulic pump itself. And I've got a good 2 inches sticking out where I can put my cordless drill at. And so this is what you'd be looking at. This is my little Ryobi cordless drill that I carry with 2 battery packs. And as you can see, I've got the 1/4 inch extension is in the drill. And you can see that's going to turn that very nicely. And here I've installed the slotted screwdriver bit, common bit, into the end of the socket that runs through where the drill is at. And so with that, with this hydraulic pump motor removed, I can now take and put this common bit into the slotted shaft that's on the inside of this hydraulic pump that you can't see. And with that, using just my cordless drill, I can run this pump clockwise or counterclockwise, and I can get myself out of a jam until I can get a new pump, whatever might be the problem with this pump motor. You know, if it's seized up and the bearings are bad and I'm not able to spin it, this will get you out of a jam. And Lippert will say you shouldn't do it, but you know, what are you going to do if you're at an RV park, you can't get parts for 3 or 4 weeks? This method will save your butt, folks. So there you go. That's the Alpine guy with another crude, down and dirty way to save your butt.